All right, welcome everyone, and hello. Thank you for joining our information session for business management. My name is Mushra Chaudhry, and I am the manager of recruitment and sales for the Chang School. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the land on which Toronto Metropolitan University is built upon. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. I thank the Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island for their efforts to protect the land, and I deeply regret the past injustices they have endured. As Toronto Metropolitan University seeks to move forward in partnership with Indigenous peoples, I pledge to foster an environment that is more inclusive and welcoming of Indigenous peoples from all communities. Now, I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's session. Your microphone is muted throughout the event so as not to disturb other attendees or our presenters. For the hearing impaired, we have automated captioning available, which you can access by activating it in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. You can submit your questions for today's speakers at any time by typing them into the question box of your control panel, and we'll collect them throughout the session and address them at the end of the presentation. Now, before we invite our guests, I'd like to run a quick poll just to see what everybody's thinking and what are our goals and motivations? What motivated you to consider the certificate today? And if you can take just a couple of seconds to answer it, it helps provide feedback to our team and also some feedback to our speakers today. So the options, as you can see, are career advancement, career change, skill building for current role, personal interest, and others. And yeah, career advancement is leading right now. We'll leave it on for just a couple of more seconds and we'll end the poll and share the results. And so yeah, as we can see, career advancement and career change are the top ones. Thank you for sharing. So now I'd like to introduce our guest speakers for today, Dr. Kimberly Carter, who is the Program Director of Business at the Chang School, and Neha Takardas, who is the Program Specialist at the Chang School, and they'll now share a quick overview of the certificate and how it can help you develop your skills that you need and learn more a little bit about the certificate. Welcome, Kimberly and Neha.
Thank you, Mashur. Thank you all for joining us today. It was great to see that we had a poll to really get a sense of where you all are in your learning journey. So we want to talk a little bit about the certificate and why this might be one of the strategic choices, especially given the job market landscape today. So first of all, the certificate has been developed in collaboration with the Ted Rogers School of Management. It is a fully online certificate that offers flexible, accessible learning and a clear pathway to build on your existing credentials if you have some, or to upskill, reskill, and even as a strategic pathway to our part-time and full-time degrees as well. It is a certificate that has been sort of designed in a way for students to get a very general overview of the core business areas. And as we discuss this further, you will sort of see how this can be used to amplify both your current experiences, your current credentials, but also build onto the changing market landscape as well. So next slide, please. So we like to think that this certificate is really much a pathway and a pathway to a lot of different outcomes. When you're going to a different destination, somebody likes to take the highways, somebody wants to take the roads. So really your navigation can look very different. And this is what the certificate is designed for. It's designed as a pathway with different outcomes for different learning needs. So the first thing, of course, starts by you registering in the certificate and taking courses at the Chang School. you enroll in the business management certificate and complete the certificate requirements. You can have three outcomes from this. And one is, of course, you graduate from it and amplify your resume. And what I mean by that is if you already have work experience and you are looking to just bolster the credentials with a university credential on your CV, this is a great way of doing that because it sends a message to the employers that you're looking to get a job with that you now have a university back credential, and that is very holistic and allows you to have an understanding of different areas of business operations. You can also pursue additional certificates after completing the certificate, and what we like to call the multiplier effect. Multiplier effect simply means that once you complete the certificate, you can take 50% of the courses you have completed in the certificate towards another certificate requirement, as long as the courses overlap. So reducing the time it takes you to complete another credential, as well as from a finance equity perspective, it is really, really important because you're not having to pay double the tuition fees for completing the same thing. You stretch your dollars beyond just the tuition fees for the first certificate, and you can graduate with another certificate as well. And the third pathway, which is very attractive for a lot of individuals, especially what we have found for professionals who entered the job market perhaps early on and could not complete a degree, or were quite lucky and got into their area of profession, but would now like to think about completing their degree, which is an important step in getting promoted for higher roles oftentimes. You can directly apply to our TMU BCom program. And what that means is we have two offerings in our BCom program. One is a part-time offering and one is a full-time offering. And you would be, depending on the grades, there are GPA requirements and grade requirements. You would be admitted into what is called an advanced standing. Advanced standing simply means that the degree courses you have completed as part of the certificate would be recognized for the degree requirements for the BCom program. So again, just as a brief recap, there are three pathways, which is really important. In 2025, it's really important to have choices. So you do have a number of choices after completing the certificate, one being multiplying and getting more certificates, graduating and just going into the job market and using the university back credential again, which holds a higher value in amplifying your resume and your experiences. And the third being exploring degree options if this is something that you are really keen on thinking about or haven't even thought about, and maybe this is something you would like to do. Next slide, please. The business management certificate covers 8 broad major areas, and you would get an understanding of economics, you would get global management studies, human resources, entrepreneurship, law and business, and marketing. All in all, this is a very strong core foundational certificate that allows students to have exposure to different aspects of the business. And as we go further into the presentation, you will find why this is important in 2025, and as we enter soon next month into 2026, why having this generalized foundation of business core areas is important to the job prospects in the upcoming future as well. Next slide, please. So why should you choose us? Well, apart from the fact that we are great and this program has been designed with the faculty and the Ted Rogers School of Business Management, we have created a program that is very accessible to our learners. It is not intended to be a very daunting task. You can start today on your learning journey. And what I mean by that is we have an open admission policy. There are no applications required, and it is complemented with our flexible online scheduling. So you can begin your learning journey as quickly as we finish this session today, or while we're on this call, you can even complete the process of registering yourself into courses. So whether your goal is to complete a certificate or start a degree or build new career-ready skills, we really have streamlined the path where we're making it open and flexible for all types of learners. So we don't want this to be a very intimidating and a daunting prospect. We want to make it as easy and as accessible for all our learners, and that is why we have an open admission policy. The certificate is also designed to allow you to explore, specialize, and strategize. What that means is think about when when I was 17 or 18, I probably couldn't tell you what I wanted to be, right? A lot of people, you get asked this question, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I don't know. So as you're foraying into studying business, you can choose from a range of business-focused elective courses, which are designed to help you explore areas of interest. You are allowed to develop transferable skills, a keyword that you would often find employers asking for in interviews. What transferable skills are you bringing to the table? And it will also help you make informed academic or career decisions. So whether, again, you're planning to pursue a degree, just simply strengthen your resume with a university-backed credential, or pivot careers from the current industry you're in, you will gain relevant and real-world knowledge by completing the certificates as courses as part of this certificate. One important point to mention is that these are all degree credit certificate courses. So that is a really, really important part to remember, that apart from allowing you to specialize and strategize and explore, they really are being taught at the university level. So you are getting the rigor and the academic quality that you would want to get when you are enrolling in a university-backed credential. The multiplier effect, as I briefly touched upon it, you do have the ability to take courses that you complete as part of the certificate and use 50% of them towards another certificate where there is an overlap in the core or elective courses. So you only need to complete 50% of the second certificate to earn it. For example, if each certificate requires 6 courses and 3 courses overlap, you only need to take 9 courses in total to graduate from 2 full certificates, making your pathway to a degree, again, giving you more advanced standing, but also more efficient and credit secure in terms of the credentials that you're getting at the end of it. One of the key things that is really important as part of these courses is that they are grant and funding eligible, and they offer flex learning. What I mean by that is they are accessible to both full-time and part-time financial aid options while you learn and earn. Especially in 2025 and 2026, we may have part-time jobs, full-time jobs, both professional and personal commitments. The courses being eligible for grant and funding eligibility allows you to not compromise on your career advancement journey without compromising on how many hours you need to work. So you do have that flexibility. So whether you're looking to study part-time, full-time, or just one course at a time, balancing your education, work, personal, and professional commitments is very, very easy. It is much more flexible because you have that less pressure of making sure how you're going to get to the goal that you want to in terms of your career advancement. We offer support every step of the way. What that means is we have a dedicated client service and academic support team who are here to guide you through this journey, from your course selections to credit transfers to planning your next academic, even certificate, or how the timeline should look like, or a pathway to completing the certificate. We're here to support you. We really want to make sure that your learning experience is very well-rounded. It is not just about creating an open admission policy, but from the beginning till the very end, it is there to accommodate to each learner's style and to also ensure that they're positioned for academic and professional success. So our dedicated resources are there to help you review your available pathway options and also recognize your prior learning, your experiences, and even support you with questions you may have questions for in terms of your career advancement or further studies. So that personalized support is very much available through our dedicated team support. So some of the program highlights we would like to talk about. There are 8 required courses as part of this certificate. And the reason for that, again, is because if you truly want to go into our part-time and full-time degree options, you do get an advanced standing. So as an example, an undergraduate degree, the first year requirements are roughly 10 courses. So if you really do want to position yourself into an advanced standing when you go into a degree, so you're not catching up too far behind, you would be getting transfer credits for 8 courses. And again, because we're part of the TMU ecosystem, there isn't that much push and pull in terms of transfer credits. It's a very, very seamless process. The same is also true for you to truly get a foundational backing and background in all core areas of business studies. What that means is you need to be able to understand how HR connects to marketing and how it communicates to the operations part and how that would communicate to even the accounting division. So you need to have those foundational understanding, and this is why we have 8 required courses. So although they may seem like, why 8? There's a very good reason for it, because we want to ensure that every graduate from the certificate can comfortably go out there in an interview or for other pathways that they would like to explore and say that they have this holistic foundational understanding of business as a field of study, but also as a profession. So who should really take the certificate? And thank you, Mashur, for hosting that poll early on in the presentation, because it allows us to understand who our learners are, where they're coming from, and how we can do better in order to ensure that we're catering to every single need of yours. So this certificate is for professionals who are aiming to enhance or shift their career. It could be ideally for those who want to strengthen their business skills in areas such as marketing, accounting, and HR to advance in their current role or transition into a specific business-focused position. It is also for individuals preparing for a future degree. So it's very well suited for individuals who want to re-enter academic life gradually by earning recognized credentials now and building a smooth pathway into a full-time degree program at TMU or another institution. It is also suited for exploratory learners seeking academic or career clarity. What I mean by that is going back to the question I said, when I was 17 or 18, people would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I don't. And sometimes, even as I get older, I tend to question myself, what do I want to be in the next 5 years or 10 years? Am I happy with where I am? So it's really perfect for those who want to sample university level courses, try new subject areas, and earn credits that count towards a degree or professional goal before committing to a longer program. Like a degree is a daunting, sometimes, commitment of 4 years. So this is a great way of figuring out and maybe even, rebrushing those learning skills that sometimes get forgotten if we have been out of the academic setting for a while. So this is a great place to have the learner support, recalibrate ourselves to the commitment and the requirements of a university education, while still ensuring that all the time and effort we put into completing these courses is recognized towards either completion of a certificate or even a future degree pathway. This is also really for individuals who may have missed an admission deadline, took a gap year previously, or were not even accepted into a degree program 3-4 years ago. And now they're thinking, oh, well, I've been in the job market. I want to really go back to university. So this certificate, because you can register while you're on this presentation today or even shortly thereafter, it allows you to keep building momentum with courses that count towards your academic or professional goals. So you never have to pause your progress towards a TMU degree, certificate, or even a new career. I think there's no better timing than today itself to start on these things. And I will just draw a very simple example when I talk about who this is suited for. So I've had conversations with individuals who have tons of experience as they're currently very happy with their employer. They have tons of experience in the administrative capacity, but they've reached a point in their career where they're like, okay, I have 10 years of experience, but I constantly do not have exposure to areas of accounting or areas of marketing and HR. And I want to be able to comfortably and confidently speak about those areas. People like that can get a very the business certificate, which gives them those foundational skills, but also specific areas of subject that they really want to be able to get a job in their company. So that's a very clear, concrete example of people who are looking for career advancement opportunities. But right now, having a generic skill set multiplies your opportunities and access to opportunities in the real world, because you're not boxing yourself as just being like, oh, I only know how to do this, or I only have knowledge about this subject area. So really, when you are evaluating who should be moving forward, whether you should be taking this, and you would like to be, and you're one of those learners who wants to have multiple opportunities when you graduate, I think you would fit the profile perfectly for the individual who should take the certificate. I'll pass it on to my colleague, Dr. Kimberly Carter, and she can continue on this one as well.
Thanks, Neha. That's great. Yeah, I'll take it home and then we'll do a Q&A and leave time for all your questions. I will just take a little break at this point and just ask you to open the chat. As Neha was just talking about, who should take this certificate, we would love to know just a little bit more about who is on the call. And so if you're comfortable, you can do it anonymously. But in the chat, if you want to let us know where you're joining us from, that also helps us. Knowing this is an online certificate, we do like to know if we've reached beyond the GTA. And oh, thanks, Ashley. That's great. Thank you. Yeah. So if people want to just take a second here, just type in where you're joining us from. That gives us a sense of who we're talking to, and oh, that's great. Okay, so we've got some Torontos, and I'll give you some time. I'll talk about, yeah, GTA. Yes, yes. TMU is out in the Vancouver, Prince Edward County. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Just keep putting them in if whoever's comfortable, just throw in your location. Just gives us a sense of the picture. And as you can see, someone out in Vancouver is even finding value in this because, of course, our reach is national and even international because of our online capabilities. So we love that. Okay, so I'm going to now pivot over into what you will learn. And as Neha's been saying throughout this presentation already, this skill set is just terrific because it's versatile and it gives you that broad foundation that allows you to perhaps pivot into a new role without starting from scratch. I also want to emphasize the word management. So management is so important. So the idea that this is a business management certificate and it pathways into a BCom in business management. A lot of our courses end with the word management, and I won't say it again, but that is important, right? If you're trying to move into a managerial role, this is the type of certificate that you would want to take. And these are the types of courses that you would be like absolutely perfect for you to dip your toe into a little bit of accounting, a little bit of information systems management, right? A little bit of marketing, a little bit of HR, a little bit of global management studies. That's also so important in today's world. I'm sure if you read the news, you know how important understanding business from an international perspective is. Nothing's local anymore with trade. You have to understand all the complexities there as well. So that's a very interesting angle that is a required course in the certificate. But either way, whether you're already employed at a company and you're looking to pivot or amplify your experience, this well-rounded business certificate, it's going to give you that flexibility and marketability to step into the growth areas of your current, that you have in your current employer, potentially, right? You can maybe show this upskilling and this academic grounding now that you'll have these theoretical foundations that you can mix together with your applied experience, potentially setting you up for a promotion. But also it opens that pathway to the Bachelor of Commerce that we've been discussing as well. This program was proposed when it first was launched as a laddering certificate. So that is the primary purpose of this certificate, although not the only outcome, not the only reason people take it. But it does, as Neha has so nicely explained throughout the beginning half of the presentation, it sets you up for advanced standing in the Bachelor of Commerce in Business Management. And that Bachelor of Commerce is an awesome program that has 8 different majors. So there's a lot of diversity to suit any type of interest that you might want to focus on in business, which is huge, of course, with having these 8 different majors available to you if you do pursue the BCom. Okay, great. So then I will do a quick recap on the next slide. The delivery of this certificate is online. So that means that our courses are asynchronous. You have your modules every week. You do have deadlines that are built into every course. And you will have a discussion board to keep things meaningful, rich, active, so that peer-to-peer connection is still there. And it's very flexible. So this certificate, the courses are offered very frequently. Almost all of them are offered every term, and the Chang School does have 3 terms. We have a fall term, a winter term, and a spring-summer term. And if you're on our website, as Neha said, you can register in the certificate for free today, even right now. But registering for winter courses is also open. So you can see all of the courses that will be offered starting in January are all there and listed on the certificate webpage, and they're open for registration today as well. In general, the exams are mostly completed online, same with the assessments that are in each course. However, there are some courses that if you live in the GTA, you will be asked to come and write the exam in person on campus. That is for a couple of courses in the certificate. If you live more than 100 kilometers away from TMU, we have a whole system where you are able to write with an invigilator that's very close to where you live. And we have a whole system that actually is global that can support you in completing that exam successfully from where you live. So yeah, this is absolutely totally easy to complete if you live in Vancouver, like one of our participants does today. The length is really, it is at your own pace. So Neha mentioned this, you could take 1 course a term if that's what suits your life right now. You can take 2 a term, and we do see that's about the average for a Chang School learner, take about 2 courses per term. But if you are at a time in your life where you're able to focus on your studies and you want to just plow through this, you could actually take up to 4 courses per term, and you could be done the certificate in 2 terms, in 8 months. So the length that we have up here is average. It's average time to completion, but again, with that flexibility, it really is up to you to create your own learning journey. And we do schedule the courses frequently enough that you can really choose the pace at which you'd like to complete this program. The cost, anywhere between, it's right around $5,800. And again, it is grant and OSAP eligible, so that's a really, really huge bonus, thanks to all the courses being degree credit. And the admission criteria were very accessible, as Neha had mentioned. There is no formal application process, but we do ask that you hold an Ontario Secondary School diploma or equivalent, or you can be a mature student. And there are certain criteria of what defines a mature student, and we can talk to you about that and specify that if you need more help understanding what category you might fall into. Okay, so that is pretty much wraps up our part. As we've said throughout this call, we've given you a bunch of calls to action. Actually, register for free, enroll in a course, or even just take another look at the webpage, and don't hesitate to reach out to us. But what we want to leave you with is that we want to welcome you into the TMU ecosystem. You can learn while you earn. That's part of that flexible message we're trying to get across. That flexible learning journey is so important to the Chang School. And this certificate will really help you build an academic path, opens the door to a degree, but also a certificate in and of itself. This is a university credential in and of itself that is highly worthwhile, and even new career opportunities. Who knows where this could lead to in your professional life. So that's the end for us. I think we will now throw it back to Mashur, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
I would just like to add one more thing to the audience in this room, because I'm reading the Q&A and the questions are coming around admissions. As a very seasoned academic advisor and counselor, employment counselor, I would like to say one thing, and that is having these generalized courses really allows you to find your program fit. And that's very, very important, because oftentimes what I found, even in academic advising, being an academic counselor, was students would go in because they thought this is what this subject was intended to really be. So sometimes for those of us who are unsure, do not know what our program fit likes in the area of business, this gives you that full breadth to really get an understanding before you declare your major when you go into the BCom program. And even perhaps, guides you in what where your interest lies. I mean, we have so many certificate offerings across Chang School. So if you end up finding, oh, I really, really want to go down the accounting because I have a college diploma, for example, and I want to even get, more generic business certificate, great. But now I figured I want to become an accountant. Great. We have 4 levels of accounting certificates that you can take if you wanted to. We have so many other pathways and opportunities that can help you further refine what you have identified as to what you want to be when you grow up, right? That's the best way I can put it. So really the generalization of this business certificate allows you to find exactly what your fit and match is. And that's really, really important because we want to love the careers we're in, right? So I think we'll open it up to the Q&A and pass it on to Mashur again.
Thank you for adding that, Neha, and thank you both, right, for such a good presentation, really comprehensive. Talked about the pathways and the support that is so unique to the Chang School that we can provide. And like you said, a little bit of sort of everything, right? It wraps it up together. And so yeah, thank you again for doing that. We do have a few open questions here. And so, yeah, let's start with the first one. I think the first one is from Ashley. Ashley, thank you for your question. If you meet the GPA and course requirements for direct entry into BCom, do you still need the high school prerequisite courses to enroll? So, I don't know, Neha, if you want to take that, or is that something that Dave can maybe help answer?
I'm happy to jump in here, and I'll just briefly introduce myself first to everyone here. My name's Dave Dalrymple. I'm an academic and career advisor at the Chang School, and I apologize for the lack of video. I'm a little under the weather today, so I'll just be doing audio only. But yeah, I can see there's a couple questions here relating to prerequisites. I'll just clarify firstly that although the Chang School exists under the TMU umbrella, we're not directly involved in the admissions process or administration of undergraduate degrees. So although the pathway identified by Neha is very much exists in terms of uh, having some courses that can potentially transfer towards the BCom at TMU, um, it doesn't guarantee entry, and we're not directly involved in that application process. Just to clarify that, that is handled through the Service Hub, which is basically the central administrative hub for the university. So we can drop a link to Service Hub contact in the chat for you. So with that disclaimer, just saying any questions about admission ultimately should be directed towards them. I can say from my experience working with students with this certificate, um, there's questions here about, do I still need to meet the prerequisite requirements? And so if you are applying as a mature student to TMU, you are waived from having to meet the high school diploma with 6 grade 12U credit requirement, except you still need to meet the program requirements, which in the case of the BCom is grade 12U English and grade 12U math. So completing the certificate does not exempt you from those, is my understanding, as of my last communications with the Service Hub. You would still need to meet those requirements. The reason I specifically wanted to address it in this context with that question is that what you can do for the grade 12 English course is you can take a Chang School English class. And the reason I mentioned that is that you could potentially use that towards the degree as well, towards what's called a liberal studies elective in the degree. So many students I communicate with, that ends up being a good option, an efficient option, because it means you can get yet another course that can transfer towards the degree. I would say that is on a case-by-case basis because it kind of depends on your comfort level, what your previous experience is with education. If you haven't, say, taken, grade 12 college level English or anything like that, then we might recommend that you do just a grade 12U English course through something like ILC, the Independent Learning Center, which is an online provider of high school accredited high school courses. But there is nuance to answer that question. So I just wanted to clarify that there. The 2 points being that we are not admissions representatives for that degree. We would recommend you reach out to the Service Hub, but generally, you will need to meet those individual prerequisite requirements, even if you're applying as a mature student and even if you do complete the certificate with us.
If I may just add to Dave's points, I think one of the most important things we want to emphasize to any learner looking to register with us is you become part of the TMU ecosystem. And that's a really important thing to remember because as you go through the courses and as you go through it, you have access to the client services and advisors over here, but you also have access to, like, which is a stone's throw away, to the service hub. So you can go to them and you can come back with the information you find with them and speak to our client services team to help you drive a pathway. I think to one of the questions that was asked in the Q&A chat was, are there other degree pathways this certificate leads to aside from the BCom? So the one thing I want to emphasize is that at TMU, our degrees are composed of 3 different kind of credits. One is your core credits that would always be the mandatory subject areas of study for your degree. Then we have what is called liberal studies, a word that Dave just referenced, and they're typically reading and writing-based courses and cover a variety of subject areas. And the third is open electives. So the courses you're taking as part of the business management certificate would fulfill all of your open elective requirements. And I like to call this, and one of my colleagues actually coined this terminology, and it's called earn the credit, keep the credit. And that is very, very important in the TMU ecosystem context. And what that means is when you complete that credit, you can actually take that credit itself and apply it towards any degree in this ecosystem. Whereas if you complete this credit and say, oh, my final destination is really a degree at TMU, but I feel like I'm going to go do a certificate at another college or at another university. Here's a caveat to the transfer credits, and that is you will be required to achieve a certain minimum grade in order to be able to have that credit transfer over to TMU. And that is true for every single college and university as well. They have minimum grade requirements that need to be met in order for the credit to be eligible for transfer. On the other hand, when you're taking courses through Chang School that are degree credit courses, the ecosystem allows you to transfer that credit into, as long as it's applicable, into the degree you're looking to go to, even if it is with a 55% pass, which would be, let's say, a D, for example. So you don't have that pressure on you to go like, oh, I spent money on 8 courses, my time, all this work that I put in, and now I can only transfer 4 of them, because that's not how it would work, because that degree credit course is identified in one of the elective options, and specifically for the business management certificate, all of them are eligible under open electives for most degree paths, I would say. So you're not really losing out. You always have a backup plan. And if I was to put myself in the shoes of a learner in 2025, soon entering into 2026, I want my money to go the furthest. I want my certificate to give me the maximum options I can possibly have and the maximum output as well. So while you are looking to do all of this, just remember, many of you may be already working. We have a part-time BCom degree pathway as well. And there are other degrees that may have that option as available as well. Because technically, to be a full-time student from an OSAP perspective, you only need to take 3 courses, full-time courses, in order to be eligible as a full-time student. So really, you're also like taking 3 to 4 courses every academic term and completing the certificate in 8 months. You're giving yourself this opportunity to build almost like a rhythm and building yourself up for success as well as you go into degrees or other credential pathways as well. So just to briefly touch upon what Dave said, but we would encourage you to ask us any follow-up questions you have from the information we're providing you here with today. And one last thing I want to mention, which is really, really important, again, goes back to the TMU ecosystem. As a student who's registered in the Chang School, you would have access to the TMU internal application system, and you would be paying less fees than the UAC, and you would be able to use the same application to apply for up to 2 programs. So that is a really, really important differentiator. When we say you're part of the ecosystem, you truly are part of the ecosystem. You are recognized as a student in TMU, you're given a student number, and you get to use that student number to your advantage to use the TMU internal application systems and apply to programs.
And I would just add one other thing. Your transcript is a TMU transcript. So although the courses are run through the Chang School administratively, your transcript, just as Neha's saying, it's yet another, in addition to your TMU email address, it's another seamless way that you are now a TMU student and part of the TMU ecosystem. So yeah, I just want to highlight that the transcript is also a TMU transcript.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Is there anything
Sorry.
else? Yeah,
No,
go.
no, we can go to the next question because I think there was a question about does this certificate give any advantage if I later apply for a full degree like MBA?
Right.
I think we have to acknowledge that every admission requirement for any of these pathways would boil down to the specific programs you're interested in and what those requirements look like at that time. So, of course, to go to any MBA, you're required to have a 4-year undergraduate degree. You have to have GMAT. You also have to have professional work experience. But typically, if you're coming from a non-traditional business program and you want to go into an MBA, depending on what your resume has as your experience and what your GMAT is, it would boil down to the admission program at that time to say, well, we do require you to go back and maybe take some foundational courses. So if you're coming from a non-traditional business background and really thinking about taking it all the way to completing a master's in business administration, there are a couple of components that need to be taken into consideration equally. But again, accounting is one of those things, and economics is one of the courses that as well that you would need to take. I'll give a very brief example in less than 30 seconds. I've seen students who basically graduated with, let's say, a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from a different university, and they wanted to go to a particular graduate program, which was very much on international policy. A part of the degree requirements was to take macro and micro courses as well as some business management courses, because international policy is not just simply about research. It's about knowing what happens in the economy. So they had to take that. So when they were taking the certificate, not only were they boosting and padding their resume to say that they have this BA in political science, but now they have the certificate in business management, and they were able to use those micro and macro courses as part of their degree requirements for the graduate school admissions. So, it really, again, boils down to the learner pathway and the learner profile that can help you decide how this coursework can sort of add to it.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for answering all those questions, providing all the little perks and highlighting them, because I think it's really important, all these perks that you get when, like you said, when you join the Chang School and you're part of the ecosystem. So yeah, I know we are almost at time, so we'll move along to the next question, which is a little bit of a change in gears. Group projects. So are they part of the course? Are they a big part of the coursework, or is it mostly individual work?
Kim, yeah.
I can start, and Neha just fill in the gaps. So there is a mix. So there's a lot of individual work, especially maybe if you're looking at some of the stats courses or the mathematics course, CQMS 110, and some of the accounting courses as well. There are 2 to choose from, but you take 1 accounting course. So that's one thing that we didn't cover. I'll just specify now. If you're looking at the course list on the website and you're a little confused and there's 10 courses listed, but you only need 8, it's because you choose 1 of the accounting courses, and then you choose 1 of the information systems management courses. So we can help you and inform and help advise you directly when you reach out to us. We can give you customized advice on that. But yeah, it's a mix. So we do have a lot of discussion board activity that has you involved with your peers. There is an emphasis on group projects in some of the courses, and some of the subject matter lends itself better to group work. You can see the course outlines. Actually, they are linked on every course page. So if you go through the curriculum and each course is hyperlinked, you can go down a layer, click on the course, and then on each course page, you can actually open up the course outline and go page by page through it. So that will help you just at a granular level answer that question. And you'll also see how the grade distribution works in each course. And that's probably the best way for you to get that information to be the most current information. Neha, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to simply reiterate exactly that. You hit everything on its head. I think our web development team and our marketing team does a very good job of ensuring that it's kind of like we're giving literally a manual, an instructional manual to you to say, this is how you're going to build this product together. And that instructional manual is very easy, accessible, and can be easily found on each of our course descriptions, even to the point where, we highlight in bold where it says, these sections are offered in an online asynchronous format, except for its final exam, which is held on campus. So for certain courses, you will even find that information to manage and help you plan your personal and professional commitments, because we recognize that, this is learners have different needs. So I think that disclosure of information is very much available and really allows you to make a very knowledgeable decision. Like I said, I encourage you, all of you, as you finish this session, go online and look at it and, see the course offerings, because you'll find that there's a lot of it there. I know we're very short on time. We are at 1 o'clock. I do want to quickly answer this question because I think it's really, really important about how job ready is this certificate. I think that's a very, very important question. And thank you so much for asking that question here today. Because of course, we're asking you to take 8 courses. We're asking you to complete this certificate. How does it help you get this fundamental outcome that everybody wants to do, education and way to get economic freedom? So the way I would like to think and address this question is that as we all hear about AI and automation and everything changing how the job market is looking like and how roles are being faced or diminished, I like to think of this as, as automation and AI handle more routine technical tasks, human-centric skills such as communication, strategic thinking, and generally having a foundational knowledge and being able to confidently speak about how cross-functional work looks like has become more critical. So being able to go out to an interview and have those communication skills to be able to touch upon all aspects of a business or an employer's area of importance is really important in, marketing yourself as somebody who has the transferable skills in multiple areas, how you can go in and step into different roles and sort of support the organization in being able to achieve its bottom line. When employers are hiring, they're not so much hiring about, is this person going to be isolated to completing the one singular task, or can they bring more value to the table? And how can I use them to stretch my resources and stretch them to complete other tasks? So really, if we address it from that perspective, it is really, really important that we think about the general and foundational understanding as equipping you with all the transferable and core functional skills and knowledge to be able to go out into the job market. And last but not least, this is a university-backed credential. You are getting training at the undergraduate level degree credit courses, so you can confidently go out there and be comfortable that the knowledge that is being given to you is at this academic rigor where you are going to be able to confidently market and execute the skill set you're gaining through the certificate. So I'm also happy to include another email in there if people have questions in registration or anything of that nature. So ce@torontomu.ca is also one of our emails where you can also reach out to our staff and our client services team for registration questions as well. And of course, Masroor as well, who can also direct those questions to us as well.
Thank you so much. I know we are at time, so thank you all for patiently being here still with us. Now, before I just do my closing remarks, I just to do one quick last poll, and then please go ahead and answer the question there. I want to now take a moment to thank our speakers and thank you all for taking the time out of your day during lunchtime to attend today's info session. If you're interested in learning more or enrolling in courses related to this certificate, please visit continuing.torontomu.ca. And if you have any other questions, you can email the ce@torontomu.ca email. You will receive a follow-up from us with the recording of this session and a survey within 24 to 48 hours. And on behalf of the Chang School, thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great rest of the day.